The Sunset Limited, America's first transcontinental passenger train. The train was originally owned by the Southern Pacific from 1894 to 1971, when Amtrak was created and started purchasing passenger trains from different railroads, including the Sunset Limited. This astonishing passenger train ran from Los Angeles, California to Miami, Florida, but nowadays it only runs from Los Angeles to New Orleans, Louisiana. Why specifically? Well, that story's not pretty, which resulted in so many people dying and resulted in the worst train wreck in Amtrak's history. This is the story of the 1993 Big Bayou Canot train wreck. On September 22nd, 1993, the Amtrak Sunset Limited was making its way towards Miami, Florida. There were only 3 engines pulling it, with P40DC 819 leading, which was a fairly new locomotive, and followed by 2 F40PHs, which were 262 and 312. When the train arrived in New Orleans, however, it was delayed due to a faulty toilet and air conditioner in one of the cars. But during this delay, trouble would erupt. Down the line ahead, a tugboat called the Mavilla was lost in the fog and its driver couldn't see where he was going. The 3 lead barges that it was pushing struck a CSX-owned bridge, resulting in the rails bending in a nasty kink, but not breaking them. And the tugboat driver thought it was another tugboat, and he couldn't see the bridge through the fog, and he thought that he ran aground. So he kept moving. Half an hour later, the Amtrak Sunset Limited was rolling again after the delay. The train began rolling up to a speed at 72 miles an hour, approaching the Big Bayou Bridge. Up ahead, the signal was green for the train, meaning that all was clear for them, when in reality, it isn't. As the train went across the bridge, it happened. The train derails in a devastating pile-up. The cars land straight into the water. The locomotives rupture their fuel tanks and burn people alive in the mangled-up cars. The lead locomotive, 819, impales itself into the ground on the other side of the bridge. 262 rolled across the bridge and landed right next to 819, while 3E12 was sitting in the water opposite of them. Water was crocodile and snake infested. It was hell on earth for people in the mangled up coaches that were laying in the water. You could either get eaten by a crocodile, bitten by a snake, burned in the fire, or drowned in the water. But what have caused this catastrophic disaster to happen? Was it 100% preventable? An investigation was launched later on, and it was later confirmed that the tugboat driver was lost and was having trouble with its radar, or in other words, its GPS. The Mavilla was supposed to travel through the Mobile River and not the Big Bayou Canot because boat traffic was closed. It was also discovered that the lead locomotive and the 3 lead barges had damage on them from colliding with the bridge. When the tugboat's barges hit the bridge, it misaligned the girder 48 inches along with the rails. But what would have happened if the rails cracked? Well, since there's an electrical current that connects the signals to the track, the signal would have turned to red, telling the train to stop and not proceed any further. But the signal was green, meaning they could go, but the misaligned girder from the tugboat's barges slamming into it, which led to the rails kinking and the train heading straight towards it, which led to the disaster. The tugboat driver was given no criminal charges, but never again piloted a tugboat. If the delay hadn't occurred in New Orleans, or if the tugboat went the right way down the Mobile River, the accident may have been prevented. This was the deadliest train wreck in Amtrak's history, and the worst since the Newark Bay incident in 1958. In the end, all three locomotives, which were 819, 262, and 312, were damaged beyond repair, and therefore they were considered totaled and scrapped. And 819 had only served 20 days of career. How's that for fairly new? In total, 47 people died that day. At the site of the crash, a memorial plaque sits near it, designed to remember the disaster and the 47 people who lost their lives. But even to this day, the 1993 Big Bayou Canot train wreck remains the worst train wreck in Amtrak's history.